Today on Brotherhood of Torque, we are going to be changing the fuel filters on a Ford 6-liter diesel. All right, we're going to talk about 6.0 fuel filters. Now, this is the fuel conditioning module that I removed off the rail. Now, I pulled it off because it was bad, but I'm also going to use it to show you guys. Now, there's two fuel filters on the 6.0. This is the bottom one, and this goes in the top one. Now, you can buy different brand filters if you'd like. I wouldn't. I would strictly stick with the Motorcraft brand ones because they're just built for this. They have this special webbing on them that's basically supposed to keep water out from going through the membrane and trap it down here in the water separator. So it's not that much more expensive to go with Motorcraft stuff. Now, something you have to pay attention to. It's very, very, very important. When you put this filter in, this little nub right here goes up. You have to make sure it goes up. Now, as you can see, there's a tiny little hole right here. That's your bleeder. So what'll happen is if you have it sideways or down, this whole half of the filter can be filled with air. So you need to make dang sure that it stays up. So what I'll normally do is I'll basically take this cartridge and I'll put a black line on the other side so I can make sure that it's up. So I'm gonna go do that right now. You can see I made the line on it. So what we're gonna do is crawl under there and install it. Now, it comes with a new O-ring for this lid, but this is a brand new fuel conditioning module on there, so I'm not gonna use it. But what I will do is get some diesel out of here if there's any left. Yep, right there. And put it on this O-ring. And now we can go install it. Now it lives right here. So, easiest is to try to get back in there. Problem is the socket's deep and the cross member is usually in the way. I'll just have to do what I normally do. Put it up here, turn in small increments. So we're gonna go ahead and unscrew this filter cap all the way off. The lid is loose. Sorry guys, there's no good way to really film this. Now it's gonna try to push at you when you take the cap off. Go ahead and put it back in. And put the one that I already marked and pre-lubed. Like I said, make sure the line goes up. And get the cap. It looks like it's already lubed. So we'll just put it back. Screwing this back in. All right, it's tight, snug, so we'll just pull a little more. And that's the bottom one. Now onto the top. All right, another thing to do while you're under here doing the fuel filter, now that you guys can actually see the housing better. This is the new housing that's installed now. This right here is a little Allen plug. Now, that's the drain plug for your water separator. Now, this fuel conditioning module has the filter, a pump, and the water separator in it. So when you're doing your fuel filter, it's a good idea. You take a little Allen and break this loose. You can use a T-handle over the drive shaft if it has the ball tip on it, or just a 90-degree one if you have a short one, or cut it down a little bit and crack that open. And I usually pull the plug out and I'll drain it for about 10-15 seconds into a clear cup. And that way you can kind of see how much water is actually in your fuel. But when you're doing the fuel filter, you're already down here, so it's a great idea to go ahead and do that, because I don't know, it's just one of those things that you do, because if you don't drain it, then this little portion right here will get all gummed up and start corroding and turn all nasty. So that's part of doing the fuel filters, is draining that water separator. So figured I'd mention it. All right, time for the upper fuel filter. Use my crappy crescent. Come on, you. And take this off. Now, on the standard housing, this lid is plastic. This one you can obviously see is aluminum, which is nice because it has a little threaded port in the top in case you want to put in a fuel pressure sensor to run to a monitor or something. But yeah, this one you just unscrew, and there's a little fella up in here. Now the one down there will catch most of it, but the screen on it, or the filter on it, is not as fine as this one. So set that aside. Pull this little fella out. Try not to spill too much. Now this will come with a new O-ring. So I'll put this guy back. Now this one looks like it's in pretty good shape. Put a little bit of diesel on it. And screw the top back on. This, like I said, I did these filters not that long ago, so I'm not worried about the O-ring's integrity. Now this one doesn't really specify a torque spec on it. The stock plastic one does, but this one I just go till it's pretty tight. Keep in mind the housing is pretty much cast aluminum, so you could break it, but that's pretty much it. Okay, well that's done. Let me go ahead and get down. All right, we're gonna go ahead and prime the fuel system now. Because I replaced the pump underneath, it's gonna take a lot more priming than it would otherwise if you just did the filters. So what you do is just turn the key on and let it run and just listen. You'll hear air kind of bubbling at the front filter. You'll hear noise underneath. So you just, once you start hearing the pump kind of making a different noise, and you hear the air up in the top, you'll hear it kind of start hissing, then it'll get pretty quiet. You know, it's for the most part out now. Normally after you do fuel filters, it takes 3 or 4 cycles like that where you just let it run. I'm gonna do about 10 just to be safe, and then we'll go ahead and see how she runs. You can hear the pump starting to prime. That's the sound you want. So I'm gonna let it do it 2 or 3 more times like that, and we should be good. Let's see. Oh, it's idling, that's good. Still a little rough because there's air in the fuel system still, but it's a lot better than it was. There you have it. That's how you do the fuel filters on one of these. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it useful. If you like the content, follow along. I got some super big announcements and exciting stuff coming up, but this was just kind of a little roadblock. So anyway, stay tuned and thanks for your support. Have a good one.